Grace and peace, my brothers. This is Minister Honorio, and I am here with a brand new podcast series, but we are connecting it to this month's Men's Health and Fitness Expo on Saturday, September 19th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. here at Christian Cultural Center. This podcast is part one of a new series entitled 8 Deadly Thoughts. I had the privilege of having as a professor when I was working on my master's in divinity at Princeton Theological Seminary, the late Diogenes Allen. And he taught this fantastic series called 8 Deadly Thoughts. And I want to share with you just some reflections on that and connect that to this Health Expo. At 9:30 a.m., we start off with Alex in Organland, a fantastic play. We move right into the fitness demonstrations by our very own Ammo. Listen, come prepared to spend a great day in the presence of God alongside of your brothers. Look, I'm encouraging all of you brothers to come prepared, come comfortable for the day, because right after we do the great fitness demonstrations and get some great fitness advice from Ammo, we're moving right into food tasting, and there'll be some fantastic food vendors as well on the premise. There are going to be a number of activities. We're partnering with brothers from Strong Movement. We're going to have WBLS on the campus, and we're going to have great jazz music all day by Jazz for PCA, a great band with a great cause. At 12:30 p.m., we have our men's workshop, and its focus is soul power. You know, the Word of God says in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ." Now that's good news. It's good news that we have spiritual authority to take captive every thought. Every thought. Pastor Bernard taught this, and this revolutionized my life. Pastor Bernard, the founder of our men's ministry, the International Christian Brotherhood, he said that every thought has an agenda. We think for a purpose, for a reason. Jesus Christ warns us and tells us that it's the thought life that indeed in our hearts and our souls that defile us, that actually ruin and choke the life of God. Now, the thing as we begin this series on 8 deadly thoughts, the thing to remember is these deadly thoughts assail us. They come against us, as my professor said. They come against us after we come to the faith. You know, before we come to the faith, we're giving thought to our own selfishness, self-centeredness, not really caring about the things of God. It's only when we begin to care about the things of God that these thoughts begin to assail us, that we become convicted and we're conscious that there are thoughts that are within us and coming against us, that we know if we linger on them, if we meditate upon them, if we indulge them, they choke the life of God like cholesterol in the bloodstream. It stops the flow of life, clogs the arteries, stops the flow of life, can stop our life. Guess what? Deadly thoughts can also choke the life of God. And so, as we continue this web series, the thing to remember is our thoughts are not sins. Having the thought doesn't mean that you've sinned. Jesus was tempted, the Word of God says, just as we are, yet he remained without sin. So we can be tempted, but not sin. And that's good news, isn't it? But it does mean that we have a responsibility to be careful in our thought life. And these thoughts, they're common and basic to the human experience. Thoughts that come around the human experience of food and drink, sexual desire, material goods, comparison, personal injury, failure, success, self-centeredness. We have to even expect these thoughts to occur. But there's good news. We can take captive every thought. We can begin to remember that every thought has an agenda. We can remember that just because we think something, it doesn't mean that we're sinning, but it does mean that we have an opportunity to take captive that thought. Take it captive and take it to Christ, because he sees our thoughts anyway. So there's no reason to live in secret away from God. And we're only as sick as our secrets. But there's good news. There's good news in Jesus Christ. Good news for new beginnings. Good news that God is able to indeed pour out his Spirit into us so that we can have the kind of change, become the kind of men that we're dreaming about becoming. And so I want to again remind you, brothers, that September 19th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., we have a fantastic day for men, the Men's Health and Fitness Expo here at Christian Cultural Center. Deadly thoughts, my brothers. What are those deadly thoughts? Tune in to the next podcast. God bless.